Good morning. Thanks for tuning in. You're watching the F&O Show on Bloomberg Quint Live, India's first digital live streaming business news service. I'm Navneet Saluja D'Souza.
Good morning, Navneet. I'm Agam Akil. Here are the headlines. It is another weak start to the trading day. The Nifty slips below the mark of 11,800. All sectoral indices trade with cuts, with pharma and the auto leading the losses. Open interest has surged in Just Dial and Manappuram as traders take fresh short positions. No respite for Diwan Housing Finance. The stock is down today as well, despite reports of its plan to sell assets to repay pending dues. And India Bulls real estate trades with gains after promoters expressed their intention to sell 14% stake in order to focus on the financial services business.
Okay, those are the top headlines for you at this hour. Let's also telling you what's happening with the markets. Well, it's been a volatile session so far, at least the first 45 minutes of trade. Markets have actually recovered from the lows that we had seen. Right now, Nifty is trading flattish. Remember, it's recovered, I believe, almost 60 to 70 points from the lows that we had seen. It had breached the mark of 11,800 in the opening session. Unwinding seen on the futures side, so which is telling you profit booking continues in this market. And pull up Bank Nifty, I believe that's trading in the positive territory. However, the premium on Nifty futures has slipped a bit. Bank Nifty is now seen some bit of gains. It's trading just with gains about 0.2%. No major build-up seen when it comes to the futures side. Pull up the broader markets as well. We did have a negative start for them as well, where the market breadth was looking weak, but they too have staged a recovery. Both mid-cap as well as the small-cap indices are right now trading with mild bit of gains. On the options side, how's the positioning looking like after the weekly options expiry yesterday? The base has definitely moved lower, though a tad bit. So as of now, maximum open interest on the call side is at the 12,000, and even the 11,900 strike has seen a lot of writing in yesterday's trade. So a lot of out of the money and at the money call strikes, we're seeing some bit of writing. And on the put side, maximum open interest is at the 11,800. Just want to highlight for the day the range you can watch out. If you look at the premium on both 11,800 call as well as put, the combined premium is somewhere about 150 points, because the premium is individually hovering between 80 to 70 levels. That's giving you a near-term range on the index of about 11,725 to about 11,875 on the upside. But in terms of OI concentration, the near-term range remains between 800 to about 12,000 on the upside. But Agam, if you look at the FI data, they've been creating some bit of short positions, at least on the index futures. I was checking the data, almost over 20,000 contracts in last two trading sessions have been added there.
Yeah, and yesterday was an unusual session, I mean, considering the sharp cuts that we saw on the indices. But let's talk about stocks, which are also seeing a surge in open interest in today's day of trade. So, well, we do have the likes of Voltas, Manappuram Finance, Just Dial. Manappuram Finance, of course, is in a little bit of pickle after reports suggest that there could be some issues with respect to, flogging some insider trader regulations. Just Dial and Voltas also are seeing a surge in open interest. Chennai Petro and NI Tech, among others, which is seeing an increase in open interest. What about stocks which are seeing a decline in OI? We can talk about that too. And among many, we are seeing IGL, CG Power and BPCL considering declines in OI. And of course, Berger Paints is likely to be a bout of profit taking, considering the kind of strength that we've seen in the previous 2 to 3 sessions, as is the case for Reliance Infra as well, short covering coming through. On the whole, not too much to speak for Navneet, but I reckon that because of the ongoing issues, the NBFC companies will remain in focus.
Yep, in fact, yesterday we did have Diwan Housing going into the ban period, considering the sort of shorts that we've seen. But 3 stocks that we would like to take views from our experts on the show today. One of them is Wockhardt. The stock's down for the second straight session. In fact, if you look at the stock, it's been trading below its key moving averages, be it 150 or even the 200-day moving average. Remember, Manappuram Finance, this has been an outperformer on year-to-date basis, but we've seen some bit of losses coming by due to some reports indicating that SEBI's issued show-cause notice to 5 AMCs for price rigging of Manappuram Finance, but we don't have any clarification on that. But on basis of those reports, some selling has been seen here. Just Dial is the other one. Once again, an outperformer in the month of May, where stock was up nearly 30%. Today, the stocks come under selling pressure. It's down for the third straight day, and in the last 3 sessions, Agam, the stock's seen correction of nearly 12 to 13%.
Okay, well, these stocks will be in focus, but there is one more that we want to talk about, and that's Indiabulls Real Estate, which is in the news. Promoters put out their intention to sell 14% stake in the company, and news reports also suggested that Embassy and Blackstone JV is set to buy the largest stake in the company, which will trigger an open offer post that. Ajit Mittal of Indiabulls Group is joining us on the phone line right now, and we also have Darshan Mehta with us from our research team to take us through the conversation. Darshan, it's over to you.
Yeah, good morning, Ajit. Thanks for joining in. Obviously, the block deal has happened. The data indicates that close to 13% stake has changed hand in Indiabulls Real Estate. Can you confirm whether the promoters have sold this stake and who the buyer is?
Well, your information is correct. The promoter, Mr. Samir Gehlot, sold part of his stake to Embassy Blackstone JV. That's right. As part of his plan to, cease to be the promoter of real estate business going forward.
Ajit, the other part is that promoters own close to 38% stake in the company. Will there be further tranches? And if yes, when can that happen?
Well, on that, really at this point in time, I won't be able to comment. But yeah, it's part of that overall, strategy for him to eventually, exit the real estate business, given our, thrust on our financial services business, and also to, to remove any sort of hurdle in our, amalgamation process with the bank, Lakshmi Vilas Bank.
The other part is that since only 13% has been sold, and just correct me because that's the data that Bloomberg has shown, 12.8%. You had indicated 14%. Has the entire 14% been sold, or only 12.8%?
To comment on that, I am not really involved on the real estate side. I am more on the financial services side. So on the deal specifics and all, I'll not be able to comment. But I gave you the broad picture that is what the rationale for the stake sale by the promoter is.
Okay. Was RBI one of the key reasons? Did they tell you to exit this business, or was it voluntary so that no hurdle comes in?
I've been an ex-regulator myself. I was with the Reserve Bank of India for more than 2 decades, and that too in the banking regulation and supervision. So is regulator not just in India, the worldwide, they do have an inherent kind of concern with the banks and the real estate developers business being intertwined, intermingled. So that's always the case. In 2013 when we applied for a banking license, I believe that was also one of the concerns. So also given the fact that real estate development business is not really one of the mainstay businesses of the group, is less than 20% of the total assets and the revenue of the group, in fact much less than that. So it wasn't really sort of a part of our strategic vision, to emerge as a sort of financial services player of global size and reach, and across the strata, not just the lending business, but also now we are entering into the insurance space. We are also one of the largest players in the fintech and the digital lending space. We also are one of the leading retail brokers, and now, we from a mortgage lender, we are looking at our transformation into a full-service universal bank. So given all that thing, it was kind of considered sort of desirable to sort of exit this space. So that's it.
Any other assets that you would be looking to sell at this point of time, apart from the real estate business?
No, none whatsoever.
Okay. Reports also that came in the Times of India and Mint indicated that the balance tranches will be done over the next 1.5 to 2 months. Is that something that you would agree?
Well, as I told you, I'm not really involved in nitty-gritty of the transaction as to in what tranches and what time intervals. So I won't be able to comment on that. But yeah, more or less, you can say that's the trajectory.
Okay, Mr. Mittal, so this is pretty much clear that the group is looking to exit real estate business because of the ongoing merger with Lakshmi Vilas Bank. Is there any backup plan ready with the group? Worst come if the RBI doesn't give approval for the merger, because you're already exiting the real estate business to meet the norm of RBI, because a promoter cannot have any sort of exposure to real estate business.
See, let me give you the perspective. First of all, this RBI approval is more in the nature of a NOC. This is a voluntary amalgamation under the Companies Act and as provided under the RBI's own directions. So RBI has to carry out a fit and proper due diligence on the company as well as on the promoter, the new promoter of the bank, right? Other than that, it's a process which involves NCLT, which involves Competition Commission of India, which also involved exchanges and the SEBI and other stakeholders, in our case, even NHB. So it's only one piece. And that too is more in the nature of a NOC. So it's not as if there's a question of a plan B or plan A or plan C. I mean, we're just following a path which is pretty much given, So I don't see any sort of obstacle in that, because we got some doubt as to our eligibility and as, on our fit and proper front, we won't even have chosen to tread this path in the first place.
You're not ruling out any further stake sale from the promoters. I know you're not involved in the nitty-gritties of this deal, but you're not even ruling out that promoters could further sell stake.
To that extent that promoters, Mr. Sameer Gehlot would cease to be promoter of the real estate group, to that extent the stake sale will happen.
No, but he still is the promoter, because he's just sold a 13% stake, while Embassy gets that. He still has the majority stake.
He would cease to be the promoter in due course of time. That's the whole thing. So this company will no longer be part of the India Bulls Group. That's all I can tell you.
Okay.
When will that happen? In how many trenches, what timeline, what percentage exactly? So on that I can't comment.
Okay, why Embassy at the Blackstone Group, which were the other companies that were involved?
There was a due process which was followed over the last couple of months. There were bids invited. There were other few players as well. And there's a due process. As part of that, this probably seemed to be the best fit. And Embassy, as you know, is one of the most credible real estate developers. They've recently done a REIT, one of the hugely successful REIT, and they're JV partners with Blackstone. And Blackstone already has been associated with us. They have a long history of working with us. They already own 50% in our, rental assets portfolio, including the two marquee iconic projects in Mumbai, which is One India Bulls Center, India Bulls Finance Center, also some assets in Chennai and Gurgaon. So they've already been working. So there was a fair amount of comfort level. They knew us inside out, and that's how this transaction with Embassy.
Just to clarify, Mr. Mittal, the money that will come in from this entire deal will go to the promoters. There will be nothing that will come into the India Bulls Group as such, right?
I don't even know what kind of question is this. Is an individual selling his stake?
Yeah. All I'm asking is there any plans to infuse funds back, whatever Mr. Gehlot gets?
Mr. Gehlot is the promoter of quite a few financial services business. He has been infusing his share of the capital in all the businesses, be it the now insurance businesses underway, be it the fintech business, be it housing finance business. From time to time, he does infuse money in the businesses, and he'll continue to do so.
Mr. Mittal, just one more clarification. This could be for the benefit of all the shareholders of the company. Since you've said that you've been in with RBI earlier, tell us, will the existing promoter, that's Mr. Sameer Gehlot, be allowed to hold a minority share in the company going ahead in case the merger approval comes by from RBI?
As an investor, if he holds some stake, there's nothing, any individual can hold stake in any company. Why only real estate company? As long as he's not involved in the management of the company.
If that investor is also a promoter entity in a bank,
he will cease to be. There's a very laid down process.
Okay.
If you hold less than 10%, then you depromoterize yourself. You're no longer promoter of that entity, listed company. So that's very clear. And it won't even belong to that group. He won't be on the board. None of us will be on the board. That will be an altogether different group. So I don't know why there's no gray area on that.
Okay. Right? Fair enough.
Thank you.
Mr. Mittal, thanks a lot for joining us and giving us that clarification. Okay, that's some clarification coming in from the India Bulls Group. Remember, there was almost 12.8% equity which changed hands between the promoter group of that Sameer Gehlot, India Bulls Real Estate, and the JV between Blackstone and Embassy Group. The stock right now is sitting with gains of about 3 to 3.5% a gum.
Okay, well, there you have it. That's, the management of in the India Bulls Group, actually. We were talking to a little more clarity about what's going on with the India Bulls real estate, the stake sale. But let's move on. And on that note, I think we should get in our experts for the day. So without further ado, we have Bhavin Mehta of Dolat Capital joining us, and Sneha, Seth of Angel Broking, joining us on the show. Good morning to both of you, and thanks for taking the time out. Also, apologies for coming to you guys with just a little bit of a delay. Bhavin, I'll come to you. How are you reading cues on the indices now? What's your way forward for the Nifty?
Okay, with respect to indices, believe that we have seen a sharp rebound in today's trade after initial cut. Looking at this level of 11,900 to remain a crucial supply zone once again. So we have failed almost 3 times to sustain above level of 12,000. At the same time, lower level 11,800 today, we are looking at some amount of OI development on the put front. So that would be crucial. Break below 11,800 should be further negative. However, having said that, with today's bounce, anticipating this particular range, one can look to probably short Nifty with an intraday perspective. Strict stop loss close to about 11,920. So my view is that overall Nifty ideally can retest lower level of 11,800 once again. So play on a short side at this particular levels.
Okay, Sneha, good morning. What is your view? So far, the template has been buy on dips, and we've seen some recovery also coming from the lows that we'd seen in the opening session. Any strategy that you would have for the day on Nifty or on Bank Nifty?
Good morning. If we look at the Nifty for yesterday, what kind of correction we saw? In that correction, we did not see any kind of open interest addition. It was hardly some rise in open interest we did see in Nifty. So yesterday's fall was without shorting. If you look at the options activity, there also we did not see any kind of unwinding in out of the money put options. Apart from that, if you see the India VIX, there also we did not see any major upside in India VIX despite such a sharp fall yesterday. So I think there wasn't any kind of a panic situation in yesterday's fall. Today we have seen a sharp recovery, and that too from the 20-day moving average of Nifty in the daily chart. So I believe at present any dip towards 11,800, 820 should be an opportunity to go long with a stop loss of today's low, and target will be around 11,950.
Okay, and Sneha, how do you read cues on the Nifty Bank? I suppose you also have supports and levels that you want to watch out for?
In case of Bank Nifty, if we see the previous high was around 30,600, 700 zone, and previously we have again seen that one day Bank Nifty had corrected and it has taken support at those levels. Today also, if you see, the lows are at those levels and we are seeing some recovery. There is no shorts as such, so at present any dip should be an opportunity to go long for me.
Okay, let's also get you some stock-specific strategies going ahead. Bhavin, let me come to you. In terms of stock futures, what are you recommending in trade today?
Okay, over last couple of sessions, we have seen some amount of correction in the stock of HPCL. However, given that stock is now trading close to its support zone, will recommend to go long at current level of 307. Stop loss close to about 303, target price 315 to 325 on upside. Second one will be buying Century Textile. The stock has seen good amount of long development earlier in the series, some amount of consolidation over last couple of trading sessions. 1000 continues to remain crucial support zone for the stock. Anticipating a move closer to level of 1045 to 1050 on upside. Stop loss should be placed around level of 985.
Okay, and Sneha, how about you? What stocks are you playing on today?
From IT pack, we are liking Infosys. If you see, recently the stock has recovered from 700 levels, and it has also added decent long positions in future segment. So at present, for last 2 days, we have seen some consolidation, and now I think we can see extension of recent up move. So one can buy 750 call option at current levels for the target of 15 and a stop loss of 2.75.
Okay, those are some stock-specific ideas going into the trade today. Let's just discuss the stocks that we want to take views on. Pull up Manappuram Finance. I want to see the intraday chart of this one. When the market opened, the stock tumbled nearly 8 to 9% in trade. Currently, it's down 4%, and we've also seen OI build up. And remember, this has been an outperformer for the May series. On year-to-date basis, the stock's seen returns of about 40 to 45%. 4% lower right now. Bhavin, what should one do? I know the stock's fallen on basis of some news reports, but tell us how technically it is looking if somebody is still holding on to the long positions here.
Believe that today was more to do with the news-based development. Overall, looking at this as an opportunity to go long in the stock, good amount of long earlier. This is clearly an opportunity for a long only traders. On upside, anticipating stock to recover closer to 138 to 140 zone. At the same time, today also we are looking at some amount of put writing happening at lower strike of close to about 120, 125, which is getting active. So my sense is that definitely can look to go long. Some amount of volatility not ruled out in view of the recent development.
Okay, that's Manappuram Finance, 13.5% in last 1 month. Sneha, take us through your stock-specific ideas for the day, then we can go ahead and take some more views on individual stocks.
We are liking Piramal Industries. If you see Piramal Enterprise, if you see this counter has been taking support near 2020 levels, and today also we are seeing some recovery from those levels. So I would suggest buying this counter for the target of 2210, and the stop loss can be maintained around 2020.
Okay, well, there you have it. That's your view coming in for Piramal Enterprises. Among other stocks that we did want to address was also, Wockhardt. Now, this one is always been a tough one to take a view on. And if you actually look at that, well, we aren't seeing as much of a change in OI here. But, well, if you actually see how this chart's been, or for that matter, what the stock's done, it is a top F&O loser, and it's taking support at the 50 daily moving average. If you leave that aside on a 1 month basis, down about 4%. This, of course, is showing us a different picture, this chart, which is on your screen right now. It is, however, down 10% in the last 3 months as well. Bhavin, any view on Wockhardt? It's taken a little bit of activity. How would you address this one?
So overall, the stock continues to be under bearish. Not expecting any major move upper level of 405 for short period of time. The downside, any crack below 360 should be negative for Wockhardt. So I will go price short only below 360. At the same time, at this point of time, looking at the risk reward ratio, the trade will not be favorable for me. So we'll wait for either a pullback rally or probably a breakdown, a fresh breakdown of this.
Bhavin, hold on. We'll come back to you. I think the line seems to be a little patchy with Bhavin. We were taking views on Wockhardt, but I just want to pull up the another counter which is doing pretty well, and that's Voltas, which is surged in today's trading session. It has seen gains of about 3 to 3.5%, 3% right now. Pull up the futures and see if there are long positions being taken on the future side. Yep, open interest is up nearly 9% here. Sneha, any thoughts on Voltas considering the moves that it has seen of 3%? It's now trading above the level of 600.
Yes, Voltas has been taking resistance near 606 levels, which is the level which is trading at present. But if you look at the daily price action and the open interest, whenever we have seen an up move, there is long positions. So I believe we may see further upside in this counter, and the resistance level of 660 will soon be, we may close above those levels. So one should go ahead and, if they are long, they can hold it, and anyone who wants to go ahead with a long position, they can hold it for the target of 620 to 630 levels. That levels are expected going ahead.
Okay, let's also address Just Dial. It's down for the third straight day, and the 3-day fall has resulted into a 12% decline in its underlying. We are looking at an open interest increase of 13% right now. It's currently at around 702, 703 in its underlying, but there certainly is some sort of weakness setting in for Just Dial. Yet it's been one of the relatively stronger counters over the last 3 odd months. As you can see, it's made a peak of around 795 odd levels. It's up 32% in 3 months. So there certainly is a lot of strength. A lot of that has come from in the months of May and June. Where do we go, and would this be an opportunity to buy, sell, or absolutely avoid? Let's take this question up with Bhavin. Bhavin, Just Dial at 703. What would your advice be for anyone who's interested in, well, trading in this one?
Okay, first of all, today's selling, I believe, is more to do with GS, that's Goldman selling the stake yesterday. However, going forward, I anticipate this particular range, 670 to 660, to remain a strong support zone for the stock. Definitely currently at 703, so we'll wait for some time. Let the stock stabilize around current zone of 690 to 700, and we'll like to take long position at that particular point with strict stop loss of 660. On upside, anticipating stock to retest level of 745 to 750. Noticeably, this particular stock has seen good amount of move closer towards expiry. So those who want to take a bet probably should take around expiry session for a sharp up move or a down move, depending upon the trend that particular point of time. So yeah, continue to remain positive even at this point of time.
Okay, continue to remain positive on Just Style, and it's also up over 30% in the month of May. The stocks come under some selling pressure. Bhavin highlighted GS sold some stake in yesterday's trade. Let's start taking some viewer queries, guys. Vinay has written to us and he's asking if it is okay to buy Nifty put option 11,500 strike, and that's the monthly expiry of 27th June. Sneha, if I could come to you and take your view, would you advise somebody to buy put option of 11,500 strike of the monthly expiry?
Looking at the F&O data, I would suggest no as of now. If we see some selling from 12,000 levels going ahead, then we may think of shorting or any put buying at that levels. As of now, I would suggest avoiding.
Okay, we also have Vikram Gundas who says that he has 5 lots of the Nifty 12,000 call. This is the 13th June expiry, and which he's bought at 12. Would it be okay to hold these or no? Well, it's the Nifty is certainly looking at a little bit of pressure, but Bhavin, would you advise Vikram to hold on to the 12,000 call, the 13th June expiry, which he's bought at a premium of 12?
Okay, so he has bought at premium of 12. I believe currently is quoting somewhere in the range of 24, 25. My sense is that holding on to the call should be avoided at this point of time. There are no major events in short period of time. At the same time, we have seen 11,900 as well as 12,000 being a major supply zone for the indices. So yeah, any up move in short period of time like one we have seen just now, I would recommend to exit from the same. Particularly given my view is that Nifty can retest level of 11,800 going forward.
Okay, the next query is on Raymond, and that's come on Facebook. Brijesh Pandya wants a view on this, and looking at the stock, it's corrected from those levels of about, it did touch levels of 850, I guess, just last week, and from thereabouts. These are intraday levels that one had seen even in yesterday's trade. 814 is currently where this one's trading right now. Sneha, any thoughts on Raymond? Would you advise taking any position here? Nothing much happening actually in today's session, but it's been volatile in the last few trades. It's gyrated about 40 to 50 points.
I would advise avoiding this counter as of now. I think we may see some correction from current levels, so prefer not taking any positions at present, because there are many counters apart from this which has decent volume and decent volatility and opportunity to go ahead and trade with a better risk reward ratios.
Okay, we also have a query on Exide Industries. We have Ardhendu Ganguly who wants to know, actually even Shubham Lahade who wants to know what to do with Exide Industries. Is there a fresh position that can be taken here? Exide currently trading at 210. Bhavin, your view here?
Okay, my view at this point of time will be to remain long or go long on this stock. Specifically 200 has historically been seen as a good support zone for this particular counter. Also on upside, not anticipating way above level of 235. Good amount of supply in that range of 230 to 235. So can probably exit in that range of 230 to 235. Strict stop loss 200 on a long side.
Okay, well, on that note, we've run out of time, so I'm going to take a moment to thank both our experts, Bhavin and Sneha, for joining us and taking us through their views on the markets as well as solving some of our viewer queries. For more updates on the F&O space, you can also check our website out, bloombergquint.com, specifically the futures and options pages.
Well, with that, it's a wrap on this edition of the F&O Show, but please stay tuned to Bloomberg Quint Live for more news and updates.